Hi there, and welcome to this video on expanding single brackets. We are going to look at questions like this, which is an expression, a bit of algebra that is presented with brackets. Then we need to work through the process of expanding the brackets. That involves doing two multiplications. So if we look at this first question, the two multiplications we're going to do are shown by the blue arrows on the screen. So the first multiplication we're going to do is 4 multiplied by 3a, and then the second multiplication, 4 multiplied by 5. So essentially, both of the terms inside the bracket are being multiplied by whatever is outside the bracket. In this question, it's a 4. So 4 times 3a is going to give me 12 a's because I multiply the numbers and I make sure the letter is attached as well. And then the second arrow is 4 times 5, which we should know is 20. So this is the process we're doing in our heads, really. There's the first multiplication, the small blue arrow giving us 12a, and the large blue arrow giving us 20. We then put these together to give us our final answer of 12a plus 20. The reason this is a plus, a positive, is because this number here, 20, is a positive. In later examples, you'll see that sometimes we can end up with a negative in the middle if this term here is negative. So what we've done there is we've taken an expression which included brackets and wrote it in another form. We haven't solved, we haven't found the answer to, we've just presented an expression in a different form. This is the form that includes brackets, sometimes referred to as the factorized form, and then when we expand the bracket, we're left with the expression here. We don't put the 12 and the 20 together to give us 32 because we're dealing with separate terms. Remember, we don't mix and match a's with constant numbers. Here's another example here. If you've got the idea from the first example, you can go ahead and have a go at this question before me. So the two multiplications I'm going to do are 5 multiplied by 2y, and I'm also going to do 5 multiplied by 6. So again, if I put on my blue arrows, you can see that it looks like this. One thing to be aware of though, when I'm multiplying the 5 by the 6 in this question, it is actually negative 6. So we can't forget that this negative sign is associated with this 6. So with my small blue arrow, 5 times 2y is going to give me 10y's. And then my second multiplication, the large blue arrow, is 5 times negative 6, which is going to give me negative 30. So again, this is the process you do in your head. Answer to the first multiplication, answer to the second multiplication, not forgetting that negative sign. So then when I go ahead and put these two terms together, again, I don't make it minus 20 by adding them together because they are separate terms. I keep them separate, 10y minus 30. So the reason this negative is included is because we ended with a negative term here. 5 outside the bracket and 2y minus 6 inside the bracket. Once we expand those brackets to remove the brackets from the expression, we are left with 10y minus 30. So we're just presenting it in a different form. That's my third example. Again, you can work ahead if you know the process by now. Two multiplications I'm going to work through are shown by the blue arrows. I'm going to do 7 multiplied by negative a, and then I'm going to do 7 multiplied by 2. Remember in algebra, if there's not a coefficient in front of a letter, if there's not a number in front of a letter, it means 1. So what I'm essentially doing here is 7 times negative 1a, which is negative 7a, and then my second multiplication, 7 times 2, which is 14. There we go. So this time my first term is negative. When I put them together, minus 7a plus 14 would be the expanded version of this expression. I could have wrote this as 14 minus 7a. It would mean exactly the same thing algebraically, but I've just kept it in this order because the minus a, the negative a, was first in the bracket. Very well done if you got that correct. Next example, again, you can just go ahead and have a go at this one yourself. Two multiplications I'm going to do. Minus 3 times 6z is going to give me negative 18z. Minus 3 times 1 is going to give me negative 3. That's the process I'm doing in my head. Notice that both of my terms are negative this time because the negative outside the bracket is involved in both multiplications. When I put my terms together, minus 18z minus 3. This is the expanded form of this expression. Okay, just to make it slightly harder, I've introduced two letters at this stage. So we have an A outside and an A inside the bracket. We should know from earlier work with algebra that when we multiply A by A, we get A squared. And we're going to use that fact to expand the bracket. The process is very similar. I'm still going to do two multiplications, 4A times 2A, and then 4A times 5. If I work through the first multiplication, 4a times 2a, I multiply the numbers, 4 times 2, which gives me 8, and then I multiply the letters, a times a, which gives me a squared. So the answer to my first multiplication is 8a squared. Then I do my second multiplication, the big blue arrow. 4a multiplied by 5 is going to give me 20a. So this is what it looks like, the process in your head. 8a squareds, and I've got 20a's. This is positive, so when I put them together, it looks like this. 8a squared plus 20a is the expanded version of this expression. Because we had an a on the outside of the bracket and an a on the inside of the bracket, I should have been expecting an a squared term in my final expansion. If you understood the last example, you can go ahead and have a go at this question yourself. Two multiplications we're going to do. 7b multiplied by 3b is going to give me 21b squared, because 7 times 3 is 21 and b times b is b squared. Then I'm going to go ahead and do 7b times negative 1, which is minus 7b. There's the results of my two multiplications, which I'm then going to put together to create the expression 21b squareds minus 7b. Very well done if you're understanding the process of expanding single brackets. Okay, here is a task for you to have a go at. There is 6 questions on the left-hand side of the screen. For each of the questions, I would like you to expand the single brackets using the method I've just explained in the video and match them up to the answers on the right-hand side of the screen. One of the questions does not match up to an answer, so therefore we have a pair, which is an odd one out. If you could highlight that pair and also answer that question correctly. If you could pause the video at this point and have a go at this task. Okay, welcome back to the video. I'm just going to go ahead and show you my solution to this task. Your matches should look something like that. So our odd one out is actually down here. 7a times 2a is 14a squared. 7a times positive 3 should be plus 21a. So it's this negative here that actually causes the problems. Very well done if you are able to work through all those questions, especially this one down here when I included a fraction. 8 multiplied by -1/2 is going to give us the result -4. Well done if you were able to complete that task. Okay, in these next examples, we are going to extend on the idea of expanding single brackets with questions that look like this. And you'll see this will relate to something that you will have covered recently called collecting like terms. If I work through the first example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand this single bracket, and then separately I'm going to expand this single bracket. So I'm going to end up with this expression. 5 times 3a is 15a. 5 times 1 is +5. 3 times 2a is 6a. And 3 times -4 is -12. So I've done two lots of expanding single brackets, and I'm left with this quite long expression. But what you will see at this point is we have 15a's here and 6a's here. So we can collect those terms together because they are a similar term. They are a like term. So I can put those together to be 21a's. I also have the number 5 and the number -12, which are the same term, like terms, often referred to as the constant. +5 take away 12 is going to give me -7. So what I can do is collect the like terms to give me my final expression, 21a minus 7. So how I got there was by expanding this single bracket and then expanding this single bracket, and then using my knowledge of collecting like terms, I simplified this expression to look like this, 21a minus 7. Let's have a look at another example. Again, I'm going to expand this single bracket, and then I'm going to expand this single bracket. And then any terms that are similar in nature, I'm going to collect them together. 4 times 2y is 8y. 4 times 6 is 24. 3 times 6y is 18y. And 3 times -1 is -3. So there's my expansions. 2 multiplications here and 2 multiplications here. So I've ended up with 4 terms, which is what I would expect because I did 4 multiplications. I have 8y's here and 18y's here, which I could put together, collect the terms to give me 26y's. And I have a 24 here, which I can collect with this -3. 24 take away 3 leaves me with 21. So once I expand these brackets and simplify my expression, it now looks like this, 26y plus 21. Here's a question for you to have a go at. So if you pause the video here, I'd like you to expand each set of single brackets and then collect your like terms together. Okay, welcome back. Once you've done your expansions, you should be left with this as your expression. 8 times d is 8d. 8 times 1 is 8. 2 times 3d is 6d. And 2 times -4 is -8. Then I go to collect my terms. 8d's add 6d's gives me 14d's. Plus 8 take away an 8 actually gives me 0. So I'm left with 14d's because the +8 and the -8 actually cancel out. So my simplified expression is just 14d. One more for you to have a go at. Pause the video here and work through this expansion and simplifying question. Okay, welcome back. Once you do your expansion, it should look like this. 2 times z is 2z. 2 times -5 is -10. 3 times 6z is 18z. And 3 times 3 is 9. 2 z's, add 18 z's, it's going to give me 20z. Negative 10, add 9 takes me to negative 1. So when I expand both of these brackets and collect the like terms together, I'm left with the expression 20z minus 1. If you think you can have a go at this one yourself, again, you can pause the video and work in front of me. I'll just talk you through it now. So we've just increased the challenge by including a's inside and outside the bracket, inside and outside the bracket. If I was to go ahead and expand both of these single brackets, this is the result. 2a times a is 2a squared. 2a times 3 is 6a. 3a times 6a is 18a squared. And 3a times negative 1 is minus 3a. And again, I'm going to collect the terms. Remember that a squareds and a's are completely separate terms. They are just as different as a's and b's, so we don't mix and match. So I've got 2a squareds, and I'm going to add on 18a squareds, which is going to give me 20a squareds. And then I've got 6a's, and I'm going to take away 3a's, which is going to leave me with 3a. So my final expression is 20a squared plus 3a. Very well done if you were able to get that answer. Okay, here is 3 for you to have a go at. So if you could pause the video at this point, and for each of the 3 questions, could you expand and simplify the expression? Okay, welcome back to the video. I'll just go ahead and put my answers on the screen. Take a little bit of time to mark and assess your work. Your answers, once expanded and then you've collected the like terms, should look like my answers on the screen now. Very well done if you got all 3 correct. Okay, one more task for you to have a go at. Again, we've got 6 questions on the left-hand side of the screen and 6 answers on the right-hand side of the screen. Could you expand and simplify each question on the left and match it up to the correct answer on the right? Just as in our previous task that looked like this, there is an odd one out, a pair that do not match up. I'd like you to highlight that pair and also correctly answer the one you identify as being the odd one out. Could you pause the video at this point and have a go at this task? And welcome back to the video. I'll just go ahead and show you my matchings. Looks something like that. Very well done if you were able to get those 5 correct. And you can see here the one that does not match up. Again, it's an issue with negative signs and positive signs. So when we expand and simplify this bracket, we should end up with 36, because we would end up with 16 times a is 16a. But over here, we'd have 4 times minus 4a, which is negative 16a. So they would actually cancel out. And we'd also end up with 16 times 2, which is 32, and a 4 times 1, which is 4. So when we come to simplify, it would be 32, add 4, giving us a positive 36. Very well done if you identified minus 36 as being the odd one out. Very well done if you understood that whole task there. You've shown a good understanding of the topic of expanding single brackets.